run right now because you're injured, want to never get injured again, you're in the right place. I've taken just 5 days off due to injury in the last 2 years, and I'm going to tell you how I avoid injuries whilst running upwards of 80 miles per week. And big shout out to Emma Sleep for sponsoring this week's video. I am already late. Let's get my stuff together. I need to go. Towel, watch. Okay, I'm seriously running late for aqua jogging, so I can't talk much now. But essentially, a few weeks ago, one of you asked for some advice for dealing with injuries. So I'm going to give you that now in this video because I'm dealing with a little injury. So it felt like a good time. And then later on, I'm also going to give you some advice for how not to get injured in the first place, because I'm a big believer that prevention is the best cure, or better than a cure. Is it better than finding a cure? Because if you prevent it, then you don't need a cure. Okay, it's early. Let's go. Okay, now that's done, the kettle is on and I'm imminently about to have my breakfast. I can get into it. Dealing with injuries, adapting to injuries, what can you do to keep fit when you can't run? I'm going to give you some specific cross-training sessions, and then after that, how not to get injured in the first place. So the question that came up in my Q&A video a couple of weeks ago that I said I would create this video for is how do you adapt / manage your training to unexpected sickness or minor injury. There's different things that you can do in different scenarios, both physically to stay fit, to rehab, to get that injury better, to make sure it doesn't come back, and also mentally to stay sane, to try and keep your happiness up whilst you're injured, because running is something that we love to do, and when we can't do it, it can really affect your mood and your mental health, and also to keep that motivation there, because that can be really difficult when you're not running and you feel like the world is working against you and you're injured, but there are things you can do to make it easier. So you're clearly injured then. If you're watching this video, you want to figure out what to do. I'm going to get the basics and the obvious ones out of the way. Don't run if you're injured. Please, 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 if you're running and you feel pain that's more than a 2 to 3 out of 10, do not run through it, especially if that pain gets worse or continues when you're not running, so you can feel it when you're walking or you're laying in bed. Just don't do it. Then get it seen to. See a physio. Don't see a doctor. Get it seen to, get a professional opinion on it. They can likely give you a diagnosis if it's something serious and how long you need to be out for. And they can tell you how to help get it better by giving you some rehab exercises or giving you an idea of what you can do cross-training wise, which is what I'm going to get into next. So let's talk about the physical stuff. What you can physically do to deal with an injury, get better from an injury, get back running from an injury. Obviously, this depends on the type of injury you've got, but cross-training, people, once it's safe for you to do and it's not going to make that injury come back, make it worse, or create another problem, get on with some cross-training. I know that we like to run, not cross-train, but cross-training is a means to an end. It can get you back on your feet, back running. It can improve your conditioning so that you're less likely to get injured in the future, especially if it's something that you then decide to keep in your program to replace a run, for example, because it's less impact. It's still stimulating that cardiovascular system so that it can improve and maintain your fitness, but it's way less hard work on the body. Cycling is a big one. Swimming or aqua jogging are really, really good. And using the elliptical, I would say, is probably the closest thing to the movement of running. At the end of this video, I'm going to point you in the direction of a resource that I've created that includes cross-training sessions that you can use when you're injured, or if you want to just put them in your normal week to keep you fit and to keep you sane. There's also value in just doing a straight up cross train and getting on the bike for 30-40 minutes, but when you're doing a session, you're much more likely to get your heart rate up and emulate the conditions of running. When I'm injured or experiencing a niggle, I try to keep my schedule as similar to running as possible in a when I do my training and how long I'm doing that for sense. Because I think this helps with both the mental and the physical side of dealing with an injury. It keeps you in that routine, which makes you feel less like you're out of touch with the thing that you love doing and that is a part of your life, and you feel like you're still chipping away at that fitness, because you are. Cross training is still hard work. So if you normally have an interval session on a Tuesday and a Friday, and then a long run on the Sunday, and then easy runs spliced in between those. I'm projecting here because this is my schedule. I would implement a cross-training interval type session on a Tuesday and a Friday, and then try and emulate the long run in a cross-training activity on the Sunday. What you don't want to do is try and do more than you were already doing in a running sense with the cross-training activities, because your body's also trying to heal from an injury. So keep those rest days in there, even if the swimming, the cycling, the aqua jogging, the elliptical feels easier than the running does. You still need that really important recovery time and rest days for your body to recover from the sessions, but also to heal the injury that you've got going on. And I'll touch on this later on more, but just a nod to the strength and conditioning stuff that you should already be doing to prevent injuries. Keep doing that when you're injured. If you're able to do exercises that aren't affected by your injury, they don't create pain and they're not going to make that injury exacerbated, keep that in your schedule. Always wash your hands after going to the gym. So those are some of the physical things you can do. It's all pretty practical, and I feel like that's probably the stuff you kinda already knew. So what about the psychological side, the mental side of dealing with not being able to do one of your favorite things for weeks, even months maybe? I've just finished my second cross train of the day. Aqua jogging, tick. Gym sesh, tick. Elliptical, tick. Now, do I enjoy that to the core of my being? No. Do I know that it's gonna get me back running, doing what I love, feeling as fit as when I stopped and probably better conditioned? Yes. Now I appreciate that when you're injured for a shorter period of time, I'm out with a little niggle, my calf's taped up, it's starting to feel better, I'm probably going to be running soon. It's easier to get your head around that. When you're out for a little bit longer, that can be a lot harder, and I've been in that spot and it's tough. So I'd say first and foremost, have a bit of acceptance. Don't fight that feeling. It's perfectly natural and normal. You love running and it's kind of been taken away from you and your body's failed you somewhat. But what I would say is channel that frustration, anger, sadness, channel that energy into the cross training and the idea that doing this now will make you a stronger runner when you return, and it will make the road to racing again a lot shorter by maintaining that fitness. Do the things that help you. Maybe it's listening to music while you cross train. That really helps me. You can listen to podcasts if you want to distract yourself from the boredom and monotony. Whatever it is that helps you, do that and use those little things to just make it mentally a little bit easier to get through. And if you've got friends that are injured as well, or friends that don't mind joining you, that makes it oh so much easier. I did an aqua jogging session with one of my teammates, Hannah, at the weekend, and the camaraderie of doing it with someone else makes it enjoyable and makes the time go by quicker. And if you can, get outside for some of your cross training. I remember being injured when I lived in London, and it was summer, it was lovely, and I got out on my road bike and did some really long, really grueling cycles, but it was nice to kind of emulate some of that familiarity of being outside on a run, seeing things as you're doing it that makes the time pass by quicker, and it's just enjoyable to be outside and be in nature. And the other thing I would say, to try and sort of enjoy your injury time off, if that's even possible, try and do things that you can't normally do when you're running and following your strict or not so strict running schedule. Do something that you can look forward to that takes your mind off the fact that you can't run at that that time, and also is sort of a silver lining, if you like, to the fact that you're not following your usual running schedule. And this is all about being kind to yourself and planning things into your life during that injury period, during your time off, that are going to make you happy, so that you're not just moping around, feeling frustrated and feeling sorry for yourself, and actually, you know, having some positivity in your life amongst the fact that it's a real shame that you're injured. Next up, prevention. First, I need to get home and have some dinner. What's for dinner?
Burger.
Perfect. Everyone that's injured or that gets injured wishes they'd done all of the little and the big things, because there's some big ones as well, that reduce the risk of injury or even just prevent injuries. Full stop. And one of the biggest ones for me and for so many athletes is sleep. When was the last time you got an absolutely awful night's sleep? And how was your training the next day? Pretty bad, I'd hazard to guess. And for me, tracking my sleep and getting 8 hours of quality sleep every night is the bare minimum, non-negotiable to making sure that injuries and niggles don't crop up. And one of the most important aspects of ensuring I get that sleep and that I want to go to bed and enjoy resting and recovering through sleep is my mattress. Now, we bought an Emma Sleep mattress when we moved here in November, and coincidentally, Emma have reached out to sponsor this week's video, which was an absolute no-brainer because I love my mattress. And actually, thinking back to last weekend when we stayed away for a couple of nights, I didn't sleep great. I do think that that's contributed to this very small injury now cropping up, because uninterrupted sleep is uninterrupted recovery time from that training. And getting really good quality sleep on my mattress every night ensures I am recovering from my training and ensures the risk of picking up injuries is much lower by getting that consistent, good quality sleep. And I want you all to have great quality sleep too, so I cannot recommend trying out Emma Sleep enough. And they've got a big sale on at the moment with up to 55% off, and you get a better discount if you use my code, which is on screen now. And on top of that, Emma Sleep offers a 200-night risk-free trial period, which means if you don't like it, you can send it back, and they have a 10-year guarantee, which gives you that peace of mind that these mattresses really are made to last. So big shout out to Emma Sleep for sponsoring this week's video and for sponsoring my sleep and making sure it is top-notch so that I am recovering. So what are the other areas you can work on to prevent injuries? There are really some obvious ones that I shouldn't need to mention here. So I'll rattle through them really quickly just in case anyone's actually not doing these bare minimum essentials. Warming up before workouts and cooling down afterwards. If you want to get injured, skip these steps. It's what eases your body into and out of intense effort, and your muscles will not thank you if you don't do them. At a very minimum, 10 to 15 minutes each, light jogging with a few drills after your warm-up and a few stretches after your cool down, ideally. That's all you need to do. Hydration. We need to be hydrated to function and perform at our best. Dehydrated brains make poor decisions, and dehydrated muscles are likely to cramp and fatigue, increasing the risk for injuries, sprains, tears, even bone fractures. So drink your water and keep those electrolytes in balance. And of course, nutrition. Similar to hydration, it's a simple science. Energy in equals energy out. How you fuel your body determines how well you can perform and how well your body copes under stress. Meeting your nutritional needs plays a role in reducing inflammation, rebuilding micro tears, and minimizing muscle loss. You need to be fueling yourself with enough so that these essential processes aren't hindered. And ideally, maintaining a healthy, balanced diet that includes all the good stuff. Fruits, veggies, carbs, proteins, and fats. Supplementation of vitamins and minerals can help here if you have any deficiencies, and you can always get some blood work done if this is an area that you think maybe you can improve upon. Now onto the stuff you could get away without doing, but if you're looking to not get injured, you need to get to know these. Now the first one is the most predictable: strength and conditioning. Strengthening your body to be able to sustain the impact and intensity of your running. And I've seen my injury risk decrease incredibly since doing gym work twice each week consistently and focusing on runner-specific exercises, key single leg movements, and on exercises specific to me and my weaknesses. Working with an S&C coach who works with runners is probably the gold standard option here, because then it's individualized and you can get feedback, but there's also plenty of other places to look at to get started. I've got a free Simple Strength for Runners plan on my website, which I'll link down below, but a few others I'd recommend are Vlad Excel's resistance band workout videos and Stephen Scullion's gym routine video for some of the more advanced stuff. And if you've recently returned from an injury, this is where any rehab exercises you were given to help heal and strengthen that injury can remain as a part of your gym routine as prehab exercises, preventing the return of that injury. Another really important one that, again, I've directly seen improve my running and reduce my risk of injury, and it just generally helps me feel better in the first few minutes of a run, is pre-run activations. These are dynamic mobility exercises that only take 10 to 15 minutes, and by doing them immediately before you run, you start to activate the muscles, ligaments, and tendons so that they are warm and ready for movement, ready to run. These are some of my pre-run activation exercises. I start low and slow on the floor with things like side-lying windmills and glute bridge walkouts, and then I work my way up to the more compound movements like squats and lunges. And resistant band walks are also great to add in here pre-run. And there's some sensible decisions you can make in your week to week too, like following 80-20 training, meaning 80% of your training time or distance each week is easy and 20% is medium to high intensity. This reduces the risk of burnout and overload related injuries caused by lack of recovery. And on top of this, I'd suggest sticking to a rule of only ever increasing your volume week to week by a maximum of 15%, and to stay at that new higher volume for at least 2 weeks before increasing it once more, unless you're advised to do more and it's closely supervised in doing so by a trained coach. And this stops you doing too much too soon before your body's adapted to that increased volume, because one of the biggest causes of injuries is a rapid increase in volume. And if you just come back from an injury, stay in touch with that physio. If you can afford to, try to see your physio every couple of months, even if you don't have any specific issues. See it a bit like getting your car serviced. If they can pick up on a bit of tightness or reduced range of movement before it turns into a full-blown injury, winner. Now for that free list of cross-training sessions I promised. There are 4 aqua jogging sessions, 4 bike sessions, and 4 elliptical sessions, and they range from easier, shorter sessions to the harder, longer ones. Try adding these in if you're currently off running with an injury, if you're cleared to cross-train, and schedule them throughout your week alongside some easy recovery cross-training days of 30 to 50 minutes. And hopefully they help make the time go by quicker and maintain some of that strength and fitness in the process. Now I'm off for my first run, post-injury. Love the grind.